When you're building a model railway, it's never much fun when you have to rip up the track again. Hi, welcome back to Chadwick Model Railway. I'm Charlie. Before I go on to the August update, what I thought I would mention is a couple of other videos that I'm putting together in the background as time progresses. One of them is on DCC decoders. So if you have any strong views, or you've tried a couple of decoders out and you like this one or you don't like that one, then I'd like to have your point of view. So if you hit the if you put them in the comments section, please, and let me know your feelings either way. The other thing I'm looking into is various standards of sound chip speakers. And again, if you have any strong views one way or the other, again, if you can please leave them in the comments section. If you're not a YouTube kind of registered person, then you're not able to leave these comments, and here there should be a subscribe button. Well, if you hit the subscribe button knowing that you're hopefully watching on the YouTube app, then that should lead you into creating a Gmail account, and therefore you'll have access to the rest of the YouTube community. And also, if you click the bell icon, you'll get notification of when myself or any other YouTube creators kind of produce a new video, and you'll be straight on the back of it, and you'll know that you're up to date. So that's where I am really with forthcoming videos. A couple of weeks ago I did a video on Superelevation where I laid the track around the bends of what I call board 3. And since laying those two outer tracks, I've now laid all 5, and here's a segment of the undersides of the boards. Underneath the board during the last video, all I had hanging down were a few feeds from the rails. Of course, now all the rest of the rails are in place, then the number of feeds has gone up considerably. The board is split into 2 sections, 2 power districts as it were, and I use these tag strips to make wiring a little easier. The outer tag strip has all the negative feeds, or the black feeds from the outer rails going to it, whereas the inner one has these 2 points and the 2 point feeds, so 2 of the point motors and 2 of the point feeds. And the inner circuit is similar. The inner circuit only has the 1 point, so there's 1 feed to the point itself, and the other feed goes to its tortoise motor, and those are the rails. So where do the other rails get their feed from? Well, back over here we have something called a BDL 168, and that has all the positive feeds, as it were, into every rail. So this then splits it into districts, so that you have into blocks. So you have 1 feed per block, and each block is isolated. So in computerization, the computer will know exactly where the train is and which block it's in and where it's transiting to and from. Of course, everything's labelled, so I can fault find if anything goes wrong at a later date. And I have some paperwork and documentation to show where the power feeds go to and from. Colour coding, I always do my point motors. I do the switching current in blue and yellow, the frogs in green, and then the power to the frogs is the red and black that you see there. And I always think if you haven't wired it yourself, then the wiring always looks more complicated than it really is. But it really is straightforward. It's just a case of doing it methodically and taking it just 1 stage at a time. I've made a little flap here, so if I need to do any maintenance on this part, then I can just unscrew it, and it will flap down then underneath the layout, so I can get to it much easier without trying to go underneath it and break my back in the meantime. It's obviously much easier for me to do this before I put the boards in, which is something I've mentioned in previous videos. So try to do most of the wiring before you put your boards in position. I just think it's a kind of much easier way of doing things, and you can do a lot of testing before you install the boards, and therefore you don't have to try and do soldering and other back breaking exercises to fault find and make sure things are ticking along okay. So here's board 3 back in place. So there are the 5 lines, and here's the small flap which has the electronics on it, and then obviously that just secures up there. And I just popper it back onto the bottom of the baseboard, and it keeps it out of the way and nice and safe. Looking down the tracks here, the platforms and the tracks between boards 2 and 3 are just simply laid in place. And if I remove the platforms, you can see the amount of track I've got to secure to make the circuits complete. Here, hopefully, you can see the effect of the superelevation, and going from right to left, the 2 right tracks I've used just 1mm of plastic card to jack it up. The next 2 lines, which are obviously the fast up and the fast down, was 1.5mm, and the high mig at the end was back to 1mm. I think the effect is quite subtle, but it works. Last week I was on a photographic job down in Devon, and I stayed over in Totnes. And on visiting Totnes station, I couldn't help but notice the similarities between Totnes and Chadwick, in as much as they have 4 tracks going straight through the middle of the platforms. There's a fast up and a fast down, and obviously the 2 outer tracks which feed the platforms. And looking west, I couldn't help but notice the superelevation on the tracks as they curved around to the right, unlike Chadwick here, which turns to the left. But it was the severity of the superelevation that kind of really, I really noticed, and you can see on a little DMU that's trundling away how severe it really is. And then when you see an HST coming around the bends and then leading back into the station, and you can see how effective superelevation is, you know. And obviously in the real world, what does it do? Well, it reduces wheel and flange wear, and also rail wear. But of course for us, and centrifugal force, and for us on model railways, it just makes it look a little bit more exciting. I can't help but think that you go to lots of model railway shows and you see trains coming around the bend, and of course without superelevation it tends to look a bit more flat. So give it a go perhaps on your layout. It might make it a little bit more exciting, it might not. It's all down to personal choice. So now on to my latest track cock-up. Well, it's not so much of a cock-up, more of a rethink to make it a little bit more viable and with more interest. So if this is a parkway station, and Chadwick Parkway being on the edges of the fictitious town of Chadwick, then naturally you'd be able to bring up a local passenger service to take people into and out of town to Chadwick Parkway and back. Kind of makes sense. But with this track layout, I can't get a train coming into platform 2 to return into town, because it would have to cross the lines. So, along with some advice from a friend of mine, if we then bring it up on the fast up and reconfigure the track, we can do it. So if I just move this platform out of the way a moment, and also remove some of this track, then you could see it might be feasible that if I put a right hand point in there, followed by a right hand on platform 1 and a diamond crossover, it would be feasible for the DMU to come up, take a right, go across the diamond crossover, and then into platform 1. It would then run up to the middle of platform 1, dropped off its passengers, picked up the next set, and then it can obviously then run back into Chadwick Central, as it were, on this outside line. All kind of makes sense to me. Sadly, I've obviously secured the boards against the wall, so that'll have to be undone, and so I need another couple of point motors, another couple of tortoises, and here I've got to do a little bit of track removal here, which is no big deal, and this one here, and the rest of it should fit. So that's my next project. Well, that just about wraps up this video, so please remember what I said at the beginning about leaving in the comments section down below any views you've got about DCC decoders that you may have had problems with, or you would recommend, and also the speakers that you might use on your sound locos, because then it'll help me compile a couple of videos in the future regarding that. And please remember what I said about subscribing, and there is always a subscribe button down there and a bell to ring if you want to do that. I'm going to be away now for a couple of weeks, so please bear with me. But in the meantime, there should be a video here and here for you to watch. Anyway, thanks for watching and take care. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.